Welcome everybody. This video we're going to be talking about saving your Revit projects as well as backup files. So I've got a project open here. Again, this is just a little sample house that I've put together. It's by no means a complete file. And to save the file, I can just go File and I can go Save, and it will save the file with same file name, same location. Or I can come down, Save As, a project, and I can save it to a new location with a new name, anything I want. So those are pretty standard save options for almost any file on any program for the most part. One of the unique features about Revit though is if I take a look at my folder here, this is the project that I'm working on, this sample house. And you can see it was last modified in May 19th. I guess that's today. So that was the last time it was modified. Now if I come in and I save this again, File, Save, if I take a look at this folder, I now have one backup file. So this previous version at 336 becomes my most recent backup file, and the one without the number is my current working file. If I decide to save this again, and I check the folder, now I have, well, these are both at the same time, but this one is a little bit earlier, and this becomes my most recent backup file, and this is my current working file. This becomes an older backup file. So it's sort of like you have this ongoing archive of backup files. Now the big question is, how many backup files can I have? Well, by default I believe Revit will save, I think it's 20 backup files. And each backup file is a full version of the project at that point in time. So if you're working on a really large project, these backup files can actually eat up a lot of space on your system. So you're going to want to maybe tone down or scale back the number of backup files that you've got for an individual project. And to be able to do that, let's come back into the project here. You can go File, but this time we go to Save As. Save doesn't give you any options or dialog boxes popping up or anything like that, but Save As a project, it allows me to save it in the same folder with the same file name if I want, or I can save it somewhere else. But it brings up the window and I can go to my options here, and I had this project set to 5 backups. The default was originally 20. I had already adjusted it to 5. I can actually come in here and I can set that to 3 if I want right now. Hit OK. And save. Again, same name. So save it. And we'll take a look at the folder and you'll see that I have 3 backup files. I'm going to save it one more time. Now I have 4 backup files. And if I save it one more time, I don't know if you saw that quickly, but number 20002 disappeared. So I have these 3 backup files. For whatever reason, the original file, it's still sticking around. I'm not entirely sure why that is. It's happened to me a couple of times. Sometimes it doesn't, but for whatever reason, the original file that I started with is sticking around. But then I have the 3 most recent backups here, and then the project file. So that's how you save your file and how you set the number of backup files in your Revit project. Just remember, the highest number is not the most recent file that you've worked on, it's the most recent backup file that you've worked on. If you don't plan on working on your backup files and you want to work with your most current files, always choose the one that does not have the number appended to the end of the file name. The one without the number is the most current active project file that you're working on. Anything with a number is a backup file, and it will not be the most recent save for your project. So that's it for saving and backup files. Not too complicated, pretty straightforward. There is one other thing, and if we go into File and Options, there is save reminder intervals. of 30 minutes. So this is on the general tab of the options. Basically, every 30 minutes, if you're not in a command, Revit will prompt you to save your file. This is really, really handy. If you're working on a project, sometimes you will get really, really involved in it and you get working hard, and 3-4 hours might pass before you think about saving your file. If something were to happen, if the system were to crash or Revit were to crash or something were to happen with the program, or you step away from your system without saving for a minute and your dog jumps on the keyboard and shuts it down, I don't know what's going to happen. You don't want to lose 4 or 5 hours of work. So by Revit prompting you to save every half hour, it does give you, I don't want to say it's a security blanket, but it's just a reassurance that, you are being sort of taken care of in terms of saving your files. Revit is making sure that if something were to go wrong, you're not going to lose that much work. I'm sure everybody has worked on a project, whether it's Revit or some other program, where the system crashed or something went wrong and you lost hours and hours and hours of work. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants that to happen. So I do know some people that have set the save reminder interval to 15 minutes. That's a little too frequent for me. I know some people that have set it to 1 hour. That's, a little too long. I actually do like the default 30 minutes. Sometimes I ignore it. The prompt will come up saying, you haven't saved your file in a while. You might want to save it. And sometimes I'll ignore it. If I haven't done a lot of work in that last half hour, I might think, what's the point? Which is fine. But it's also not a big deal if you do save it. You'll have backup files, a certain number of backup files, so you're not going to take up any more space than you already would be normally. So just saving during those intervals when Revit prompts you to is probably a good idea. So that's it for saving your files and backup files. I guess I'll see you in the next video.